Welcome to the Gloves Are Off Overtime Edition. I'm Moses Woldu, and I'm pleased to be joined by these two fine gentlemen, Greg Buchanan.
Hey, Moses.
And Rod Shopland. Of course, you are the president of Lloyd Tennis. So,
thanks for inviting me, Moses.
All right, well, serves up, and I guess we'll have to start with you. This time, we'll talk about a different sport, golf. We ended off the show with Dustin Johnson and some of the craziness that happened there with the PGA. But how about losing their number one, at least in terms of viewership, or could draw those viewers, and that is Tiger Woods, of course, backed out of last week's championship, heading into Valhalla this week, says he will play. But how much stock will you take into his success, and will he even make the Ryder Cup if he does poorly this weekend?
Well, Tom Watson was quoted as saying that if he's not healthy, he doesn't play, and he doesn't look healthy. He's had back surgery, and he's got a little to come back from, and maybe he's not ready to play yet.
Yeah, you know what? Graham Dillette, I believe, had the same kind of problem, and Dillette was out for an entire year. Woods came back after how many months? I think he came back a little bit too soon, and the bad thing about it is he may aggravate it. He says he's going to play this weekend, kind of surprises me, because a back injury is nothing to fool around with.
Because I think he's trying to make that team. He wants to make the Ryder Cup team, and he knows this is his only shot. Because if he doesn't play, he's not going to have enough. Well, never mind the points. He's not going to reach it. But the fact that, if he doesn't play, at least shows something here that nobody's going to pick him as their captain's pick.
Is PGA pushing him to play before he's ready, or what do you think?
Well, I think golf needs him. Golf needs him every weekend. Golf needs him. And it comes down to money. It comes down to sponsors, and they want to be part of a Woods event. And as much as they say no, Woods is pushing himself, he probably is, but at the same time, he's got a few people behind him kind of easing him back into it before he's probably really ready.
There's several suitors for the Buffalo Bills. So they do have a $1 billion owner who's put up big money to keep the Bills in Buffalo, but how much of that makes sense to you, keeping the team in Buffalo, as opposed to, say, Toronto, where there's more advertising dollars, bigger stadium, that sort of thing?
Toronto always wants to be part of the States. and they can't support the Argos, but they think they can support the Bills. And the last few games in the NFL that have had up in Toronto, they weren't that great success. They were giving away tickets. So I think Toronto's going to take off more than they can chew.
But how much of that delta, like, really bad teams you're facing? I'm sorry, but the Bills against Jacksonville is not necessarily appetizing.
Yeah, but regardless of that, if you go to any NFL ballpark, it doesn't matter what bad teams on the field playing, they still pack that ballpark. There isn't too many ballparks in the NFL that are three-quarters full or half empty. They're mostly all sold out. I've been to Vikings games, and it's an incredible atmosphere. I hate that they don't sit down for the entire game, but it's a tremendous atmosphere in the NFL compared to, even, I guess the closest comparison would be Regina, where they get up for their games as much as they do in the States. But will they go to Toronto? I think they're better off staying in Buffalo.
What do you say, Rob?
I don't think Buffalo will let them leave anyway, because what you're talking about, the pride and everything else, and as long as somebody comes up with dollars, I'm sure that even the city of Buffalo may even kick something in, because they don't want to lose that any more than, it's got a social loss, not just a dollar loss, because look at Winnipeg, and they lost the Jets. Like it took a long time to recover from that.
Yeah, Toronto irks me because Toronto thinks they're too big for the CFL. They're too big. It's a CFL. We want the NFL. NFL's better. That's just the mindset of Toronto.
How about a CFL-NFL connection? The Montreal Alouettes bringing back Jeff Garcia. No. Jeff Garcia is coming back, not only as a consultant, but someone who will actually be helping out the quarterbacks, maybe even stepping into a uniform. Would you believe that? 44 years old, Jeff Garcia back in the CFL throwing a touchdown pass to Chad Johnson. Who would have thought? But what do you guys think? Is this a smart move? Is this going to help the quarterback carousel or the confusion that's happening? This is twice this year. Montreal, in 2 games, have only scored 5 points. Just 5 points.
Well, they've had a real battle, I'll tell you. Replacing Anthony Calvillo is a big shoes to fill, right? He was a great quarterback, and I think bringing Garcia on board as a coach is good. Player, I don't know. What do you think?
You know what? It's how quickly things have gone to, in Montreal. And it's all, I don't think it's really around one player. I think AC's last few years, there was a decline going on. And then AC was done. and it was a free fall down to the bottom. And the scary thing is, looking at another team in a situation that if they lose their starting quarterback as Regina, Saskatchewan Roughriders, they lose DD, they're done. Like their backup quarterback, you think they're bad in Montreal, the backup quarterback in Regina is just as bad. I think.
You don't think Sinceri can cut it?
No, not even close. In Montreal, as bad as it is in Montreal with those two quarterbacks, I think Garcia actually is probably better than those two quarterbacks they have right now in Montreal. So don't be surprised within about 2 weeks, Garcia's under the center.
I don't think anybody's been better than you two on this show. Thanks a lot, Greg.
Thanks, Moses.
Thanks a lot, Rod. We appreciate you coming by.
Thanks, Moses.
And
Appreciate
thank you for joining us on the Overtime Edition on Gloves. You could always tune in to our show, 7:30 CITL for the main show. And, of course, come back for any questions that were not answered. In the meantime, we will see you in 7 days.